£52 million for Noni Madueke. British finest pounds. 52 of them for NM14. Ah, okay, let's go. You know, this Arsenal deal with Chelsea for Madueke was very it's one of them deals that we saw coming from a mile away. You know, Arteta cannot help himself. He is Captain Saver. He just needs to that superiority complex. Like I gotta fix him. I can fix him. I can change him. That's Mikel Arteta when it comes to Chelsea players. Havertz, 65 M's. I can fix him. You guys don't know how to use him. I'll give you his best position. And now NM14. And God willing, they give him the number 14 shirt. You know what this deal reminds me of? So this is Arsenal calling us, hitting us up for Noni. And then, this is us. So we're offering Arsenal, it's just, some pencils, right? So we're like, okay, we got these pencils. What you want for it? And Arsenal go, I will give you an iPhone for the pencils. And then we just do this. And then everybody goes home. That's basically this exchange. Pencils for an iPhone. Yo, this shit is funny. This is some funny stuff. I ain't even gonna hold you. Some very, very funny stuff. Arsenal have done it again. They have done it again. July 9th. The exclusive came by. The Ornstein exclusive. Arsenal made contact with Chelsea over a move for Noni Madueke. Clubs now in talks after 23-year-old winger agreed personal terms on proposed 5-year contract. No deal yet, but England International prioritizing Arsenal above anybody else interested. Okay? So that's not all. You come over here. You keep going up. July 10th. Arsenal closed a full agreement with Chelsea to sign Noni Madueke. Clubs nearing compromise for 23-year-old winger to join Arsenal from Chelsea and 52 million British pounds. British finest. 52. England International USA as talks enter final stages. Boom. Okay. And then this was 16 hours ago. Noni Madueke granted permission by Chelsea to leave camp in US, undertake medical before completing Arsenal switch. 23-year-old would not train with Chelsea and flies to the UK today after full agreement reached on 52 million deal. Boom. So then we want to go to, Fabrizio as well. We got to see what Fabrizio's saying about this. But, once Orny drops the bomba, bro, it don't even matter. Everybody else at this point becomes a tap-in merchant, right? But Fabrizio's very reliable. We like Fabrizio. Only people that don't like Fabrizio or didn't like him were Arsenal fans who somewhat were in denial that the Madueke deal was happening. They didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to see it happen. And then they did. There we go. Hold up. I am going to pull this right now. Okay, Fabrizio, take it away. Tell me what you think and tell me how you feeling. Okay. So Fabrizio goes, I mean, it's not like we don't know this. Exclusive, Noni to Arsenal Madueke. Here we go. Fee agreed in excess of £50 million with add-ons included. Green light from Chelsea. Madueke already agreed 5-year deal at Arsenal days ago, and he's now set to complete the move. So, not only is Noni going to Arsenal, Noni's also not going to take part in the Club World Cup final. I mean, I guess, hopefully not bad karma, but, and just preparing himself to not be used to these kind of moments anymore. He already had one last, couple months ago with the Conference League, but we'll see what happens, at Arsenal. But here's my 2 cents on this at the end of the day. Noni is going to Arsenal. Arsenal fans are in meltdown. It is what it is. We just, like I said, I can fix it. That complex that, Arteta has for Chelsea players, it is what it is. But here's my honest, take on this Madueke deal. Noni just wasn't going to get any more game time like that over here. Like, for that right wing, you can think about 3 options really for that position: Cole Palmer, Esteval, and Pedro Neto. Palmer is going to be predominantly the 10, so that's we understand that. But there's going to be games where Maresca might want to go with a 3-man midfield to match up with the physicality, the intensity, the numbers, the quality, and so on. So then Palmer might have to play out wide. So now you got Neto and potentially Esteval on the bench with no game time. You add that to Madueke, bro, you're behind 4 people. Well, technically you're behind 3 people. You're the 4th option. So that's probably not going to work for Noni. Now you're looking at the left flank. You're thinking, okay, Noni's played on the left a few times. Maybe that's going to be, he could get a few, minutes over there. Well, you're looking on the right. You're looking at Gittins over there as well. There's probably going to be games when Maresca might want to play Pedro Neto on the left as well, potentially. Or he might want to play Joao Pedro over there. Or he might go with a 4-2-2-2. Palmer, somebody else the winger, and you got 2 forwards. So then you're starting to really see Madueke's options really diminishing by the minute. So for me, at the end of the day, he has to look out for himself. You got to look out for your family, your best interest, your place in the England national team. But then the question is, if you go to Arsenal, are you going to be a Bukayo Saka backup, or are you going to play on the left wing? We've always said this. Arsenal's left wing options have been stinky for the last couple of seasons. So maybe this is where Noni can go in and establish himself as the first choice option winger for that, for that position. Noni on the left, Bukayo Saka on the right, Gyökeres if they get him, Kai Havertz if they don't, Marino if he wants to run it, Gabriel Jesus, whatever the options are. So just from a personal point of view, I can understand maybe Noni thinking, you know what? This probably just is the smartest move for me. Cool. Another thing is Arsenal on some level, are far ahead in their development than we are. So for Noni, this actually might be an opportunity to go play in a much better system, become a much better player and take that next step, in his professional career. I'm trying to look at it from a kind of balanced point of view. It can't just always be banter the whole time. So you could also look at it as, Me going to Arsenal gives me an opportunity, you know, to play with people who understand, a certain system better, and this might better my chances of being able to play for England in the future. I want to get call ups and whatnot. He also knows, Bukayo Saka. I mean, same way at Chelsea, but like, Arsenal looking to sign Eze. So like, you're starting to see the kind of people he might be surrounded by, and honestly, it's still in London. He's probably being promised game time because, look, we've been told this whole transfer window, you don't spend 50 M's on a backup. That's what I've been told. You don't go spend 50 M's on a backup. So with that theory being said, Noni Madueke is not going to be a backup. Because then if he is a backup, then, so people do actually spend 50 M's on a backup. Because what I've been told is, if you're spending 50 M's, if you're spending that kind of money, this player is not going to be a backup, which means Noni is going to get a couple of games or a run of games for Arsenal, which then vindicates his decision to leave. Game time, develop his game, play with a much better team. If that's the situation, then great. But the other side is Noni a 52 M's player? Genuinely speaking, no. Noni ain't 52 mil. Noni, with his abilities, his potential, his body of work, I'll say Noni, the most you're paying for Noni might be like 40 to like 45. Again, with Chelsea signing for about 29 million pounds. So you're going to expect them to want to make a profit whenever they sell, especially since he was 2 years into like a 7-year contract. So we still got to get some money off of that, but 52 is a lot. Like 52 is a lot of bread. And when you look on socials, Arsenal fans had this hypothesis, like, we're not paying no more than 20-something million for Noni. But Berta is going to work his magic, and we're only going to get Noni for under this, under that. At the end of the day, the market right now, regardless of the fact that somebody is actually really good, the market is demanding a certain amount. You're looking at players that are going for the same kind of like bread, Elanga, Kudus, Gittins, Morgan Gibbs-White. You're looking at a few names like these. They're already in the 50s. So even Garnacho, United probably wanted like 45 to like 60 mil for him. Even though their coach has said, find you another club, they still want to sell him for as high as possible, which means this is fair value for Noni. He's always been a first team player. That's another thing. Since Noni's been here, he's been part of the first team. Noni has had opportunities to lock down that position. Granted, I don't think he has really kicked on, but you can't disregard the fact that he has had a body of work where he's played games. This was his best season, I guess, in all comps. I think Noni had like 10 to like 13 goals in all comps, potentially. He had like 7 in the Prem, a few, so maybe like 10 to 12. Had a few in the Conference League as well, and a few assists. So again, double digits goals and assists, his best season yet. Just turned 23, or was about to turn 23, or is turning 24. Like, there's so much upside to this deal for Arsenal. Versatile, physically imposing. Noni, say what you want to say about Madueke. On his day, he could be a very, very dangerous direct winger. On the days he decides to turn up, there's times when he could look unplayable. Like Aston Villa last season when we beat them, what was the score? When Enzo Fernandez scored that free kick, I think it was in one of these cup games. Noni was just bouncing players off of him like it was nothing. Just strong, He's a strong runner with the ball. And when he gets it right, he can score a nice little goal. He can shoot on both feet. Yeah, maybe predominantly left, but at least he can still shoot. An England international, still got a lot of years on this contract. You know the English tax. When you're trying to sign a player that is English, you're getting a little bit of tax money on it. Arsenal are going to be no exceptions. You got to pay that tax. It is what it is. You know? So I'm looking at this deal and I go, you know what? This deal theoretically works for all parties. It works for Noni, it works for Chelsea, it works for Arsenal. But it's just funny how, you know, we're being told, yeah, no, Chelsea can't spend no money because they got to sell. They can't sign nobody. And like, oh, how are Chelsea going to move these players on? How is Chelsea going to sell Joao Felix? How are they going to sell Desasi? How are they going to sell Noni Madueke? How are they going to sell Mudryk? I mean, we've seen this time and time and time again. And somehow we just know. I guarantee you when Mikhailo comes back from his ban, Arsenal have already probably done, some background checks on him again now. Since the whole situation, maybe they're going to do their own background checks. They're going to start preliminary talks. So the minute, Mikhailo, if he's still guilty and he has to come back after 4 years, I know they're getting that deal done immediately. That's Arsenal. Yes, we have not beaten Arsenal in a couple of games. It's been a minute. But that's not the conversation. The conversation is you like to take our, backups, our options, and that's cool. Like at the end of the day, look, you do what works for you. It's just, I wish Noni the best because at times he looked like he was up for it. But more time than not, he just didn't look like he was ready for it. And for me, excuse me. And for me, look, if you don't want to be a part of the plan, you don't want to be a part of the project, you could just go on ahead. So 52 M's. Hopefully we're able to invest this money really, really well. We'll see what these guys are trying to do. Since we've sold Noni, we've sold Petrovic, we've sold Kepa. You have a few people that are going to be leaving. You have Felix, you have Desasi, Gochuku, potentially Nkunku, Chilwell, Sterling, Broja. There's so many people on that list that need to go, and they are going to go. Just don't ever underestimate how good of a selling club Chelsea will be. This is why Chelsea are able to spend as much money as they do. That 2 bill everybody wants to keep bringing up. Out of that 2 bill, almost 7 to 8, 900 million pounds has been back in sales. Like whatever the expenditure has been, we have literally recouped that by selling well. But my 2 cents, like I said on this Noni deal, I think it works out for him. Great idea. Everybody wins in the situation. Even Arsenal to an extent win. Because now you have a player that has so much potential, so much upside, and he brings you an option when now you don't have to rely on Bukayo every single game. There's going to be games you can tell, Saka, you know what? Noni can start this game and finish this game. Rest up, we go in again in the next game. So for me, look, at the end of the day, good deal all around. Was surprised to see 52. Maybe I wanted to see a little bit more because of the greed, but even 52 is still a decent amount for Noni, especially someone who was going to be squad depth. So that's my perspective on the Noni deal. I had to cover it when I was ready for it, but I don't think it's a bad deal for all parties involved. Smart deal for him, smart deal for us, potentially smart deal for Arsenal. Everybody wins. You know what I mean? So that's just the reality. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.